Hello, everybody. I'm back with a few more Kubernetes interview questions for you. So I wanted to remind you the most common question that you get from for a Kubernetes interview that it has Kubernetes in it, is what have you done with Kubernetes? We talked about this in a different video, but I wanted to remind you of that so that you know that that question will probably be asked. So you need to be prepared for that, because if you're not prepared, then you will look confused and you will look unauthentic, right? So always have the answer ready for the question, what have you done with Kubernetes? That comes up all the time. All right, so today's first question is, if there's a pod named foo and it's crashing with the status crash loop back off, how do you troubleshoot that? So it's a very common problem in production and development and staging and whatnot. What that means is that the container is able to pull down the image and it's able to load it up, but then something happens and it cannot continue. It's crashing for some reason. Sometimes you are lucky if you just do kubectl get pod, the pod's name, you will see exactly why it's crashing. It will tell you at the very end of it. It will tell you what it was trying to do when it crashed. However, that's not always the case. Sometimes you have to do a log, so kubectl logs name of the pod -p, p for previous, to see more details, more fine-grained messages that came from that pod before it crashed. So those are the two ways you can find out why a pod is crashing. All right, so next scenario question. You have a container that keeps crashing because its command section has a misspelling. How do you fix that? Before I start on that, these questions are coming from a GitHub repo that I have created. So if you prefer a written version of these things, that's the better way to go. However, the written versions are not as clear or not as detailed. In a video, I can give you much more context about the question and the answer. So back to the question. So in this question, the interviewer is assuming that you don't have a copy of the YAML in your repo. If you do, then you can just go with that. But what this is all about is basically on the test, for example, you may not get the YAML. It's just a pod that's running. So what you do is you actually create the YAML using kubectl get pod name -o YAML. That gives you the YAML file that was used to create the pod in the first place. You can do this live on live pods, and then you look at the YAML, see what the problem is, fix the problem, kill the pod, and then restart the pod just by doing kubectl apply -f, the name of the new file that you just edited, right? That's how you can start the pod up again. So yeah, that's the answer to that question. It's basically a very common scenario you would face in real life, and that's why the interviewer is asking for that question. All right, next question. How do you get a YAML file out of a running or crashing pod? We covered this in the past. Basically, again, all you do is kubectl kubectl get pod's name -o YAML, and that gives you the YAML of that pod. How do you terminate a pod? It seems like a simple question, but if you think about it, it's not super obvious, right? Like if a pod is running, how would you kill it? So the thing you have to remember is the sub command delete. So you do kubectl delete and then pod and the pod's name. In kubectl, the verb always comes first. So like get, create, delete, update, and so on and so forth, right? So the kubectl verb in this case is delete. And then the resource name pod delete, and in this will work just as well with deployments and replica sets and many other things. You can delete something with the verb delete. Again, the interviewer in this case is looking for your knowledge of this setup where you do verb first, then the resource type, and then the name of the pod. All right, so I will stop here. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, please like and subscribe. That helps me with my YouTube algorithm. And I will see you in the next Kubernetes interviews questions video.